Good morning. I'm Lorraine Garvey of District 32. I'm here this morning on the local business focus, and the expert this morning is JasonPike from Royal Cornel. How are you, Jason?
I'm very good.
What's new in the world?
Not much, really. It's a bit chilly this morning.
Not much. It's chilly and you're enjoying being in the radio studio once again.
That's right.
So, the topic of discussion this morning is around tax planning. So you're here this morning to give us some insights, tips and hints on tax planning. What is it? When's a good time? And what's it all about? So give us a brief description, for new or smaller businesses out there who might not know the concept of tax planning. What is tax planning, Jason?
Okay. Tax planning is basically what it sounds like. Planning for tax and what's going to happen in the next financial year, and hopefully saving yourself some tax in that while planning for it. So right now is the best time to start planning for the next financial year, and the best time to go to your accountant and start planning and spending some money potentially to save yourself some tax in the next financial year.
So when you say tax planning and planning for tax, it's not planning to pay tax. It is in fact planning to save tax.
That's right.
Okay, and what do you mean by this is the perfect time? What does that mean?
So we're about 3 months away from the end of the financial year, 30th of June. And so that gives you enough time to go to your accountant and get your software and your books up to date, and then discuss and plan with your accountant as to those particular items and spendings and those type of things that can actually save you tax in the future.
Okay. Do people tend to go too far? Is there such a thing as a good tax break or a good tax write-off?
There is.
Okay.
People do go too far, and that's
Okay.
a massive problem. The ATO are onto that.
Right.
Something typically like that is to potentially sell some shares now and crystallize that gain or loss now and then purchasing them again in the next financial year. There's actually a massive problem, and the ATO are right onto that.
Okay.
And there are potential fines for that. So there are ways to go too far, but there are great tax breaks out there, and I'll probably mention it a couple of times that up to the 30th of June, there's still $20,000 immediate write-off for any assets purchased. And
that's right.
And after that time, the threshold drops back down to $1,000. So that's a massive tax break at the moment, and I would, if you are getting ready to buy some assets, now would be the time.
So now is a good time to buy a car?
Yeah, if it's under $20,000.
Yep.
Anything over that, however, will be depreciated at the normal rate.
Okay. Well, thanks for that reminder. I did hear about that, but we tend to forget it, don't we, as business owners? We forget what's available. We get too stuck.
That's right.
In the business.
It's been around for a while now, and but the end date is coming very quickly.
Okay. How many businesses actually take tax planning seriously? And by that I mean, do the majority of businesses sit down with their accountant and actually discuss tax planning, or do people wait until their tax bill comes in and just think, oh, bummer?
Well, there are a lot of people, and I'm sure that there are a ton listening who go to their accountant once a year and just say, oh, I have to pay that much tax. That's not. Oh, better go talk to them now. But at the end of the day, the accountant can't do anything because that's the past. So you're looking at the past. But if you go to your accountant before 30th of June, not 2 days before, but if you go there beforehand, you'll be able to discuss with your accountant and help plan whether it's taken seriously. The problem is with small business, and especially in today's economy, people aren't willing to spend that extra money, which can be a downfall because you're actually going to be saving in the future, and that's a massive gain in the future, just spending that little bit of extra, getting the value that you require from your accountant now, because that's where the value is in tax planning, and then come to do your financial accounts at the end of the year and your tax return, then you would have saved all that money, and so you'll have extra money in this economy, which is quite tight at the moment.
I think it's a real, it's a really great time to be educating business owners about the potential savings for the sake of a few $100s to get the expert advice and the right ways to do it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be this year. It could be, this year you're a bit stuck, but the next year and the year after, then these are the strategies that we'll put in place to save you, potentially thousands of dollars.
That's right. And there are a ton of different strategies out there depending on where you are. Farming has their own strategies, and small business can also have prepayment rules that you can save money with, along with that immediate deduction that I just mentioned earlier, that can save you a lot of tax in the future.
Okay. You mentioned there small business. Is there a minimum annual revenue that you need to be earning before tax planning becomes beneficial?
Well, small business for tax is below $2 million turnover threshold.
Yeah.
That's small business, and that they give you simplified depreciation rules and a lot of other benefits. But over that $2 million threshold, this tax planning can still be beneficial because you can still bring forward spending, and superannuation is still there for those business owners. So it's not the end of the world if you are over that $2 million threshold.
Okay. So you mentioned there's superannuation. Are there certain tax planning or breaks that you can have around employing employees or bringing on employees or not? Is there anything?
Well, bringing on employees is obviously a massive issue. There's not really too much you can get around there. You still have to do your annual pay-as-you-go withholding and superannuation. But generally, when I'm talking about superannuation, I'm talking about the business owner putting in a certain amount up to their concessional cap, which at the moment is 35. And there's another tip for you: next year it becomes 25,000. So, if you want to put in tax, $35,000 is the cap this year for those over 55, but those over 55 move down to 25,000 in the next financial year.
So don't hold off to next year for that extra 10,000 into the super. The time is now.
Well, obviously, see your accountant and and to see whether you can actually afford to put it in. But yes.
So look, everybody loves stories. Everybody likes to hear different stories of how tax planning might have saved you, or the wins or the pitfalls of tax planning, the horror or the great stories. Do you have any story that you'd particularly like to share with us?
There are many, and it's very tough because a lot of people don't do their tax planning, which is, like I said, it's where the value is in accounting. But I do have a lot of stories, and I had a particular client a little while ago, and he was in some deep trouble and kept taking money out of his business, which, for those out there, that's wrong. Just don't take money out of the business willy-nilly, because there are lots of rules to stop that.
Yep.
So we kept planning around his spending and what he could take out of the business at the time, and things that would save him tax. So obviously at the time he was trying to save money, but to spend money in the right areas, then we kept saving him tax, and eventually that's also a good time to budget for the next financial year as well. So we got him into positive for the first time in many, many years.
Wow.
Over those, with all the tax savings and the budgeting, and he eventually, he was very grateful, but that's what we're in it for, to get those people who are struggling and those small business owners who are, want to do better.
Look, thank you very much. You've thrown in a few golden nuggets there, Jason. It is the perfect time for tax planning. Thank you very much, Jason, this morning for your time. Jason Pike from Royal Cornel, thank you very much.
Thanks, Laurie.